All right, the cell life cycle. Cell cycle. Oops, let's get it on black, and then we will be finished. The cell cycle. Okay, so basically, this is the events that the cell goes through. Before it divides or not divides. Okay? So the first thing that we want to talk about is one. Most of the cell lifespan is non-dividing. Okay, your cells spend most of their time getting ready to divide, and division itself is very short. Okay, and this phase is called interphase. It's called interphase. Okay, and some cells don't divide, like central nervous system cells really don't divide, skeletal muscle cells really don't divide, cardiac cells really don't divide. There are exceptions to the rules, but in general they don't. And most every other body cell does have, most every other somatic cell, which are the general body cells, have these things called stem cells that will renew the cell population, and that's what the significance of stem cells is. Okay, so the somatic cells, the body cells, they have like 3 divisions. If they're going to divide, they have 3 stages. Okay, so there are 3 stages of cell division. Okay, the first one, part 1, is DNA replication. Okay, before you can actually divide the cell, you have to replicate its DNA. You have to replicate its DNA. If you do not replicate its DNA, something bad will happen. You know, the daughter cells will be incomplete. Okay. The second part, okay, is called mitosis. Mitosis. And what mitosis is equal division of the genetic material. Okay, that's all it is. And then finally, the last part of cell replication is cytokinesis. Okay, and basically what that is cytoplasmic division Okay, and it's where you divide up the organelles equally and you get 2 daughter cells. Okay. That's what our cytokinesis is. All right, so we're going to talk about this a little bit closer. Okay, so interphase. Interphase has got several parts, so we're going to talk about interphase. Okay. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to draw a big circle here. And this is where we're going to do it. So this is going to be our cell cycle. So for the first part of this, okay, from about here, let's say to about right here, this is called G sub, nope, not G sub 0. It's G sub 1. Okay, and that's just a growth phase. That is just a growth phase. Okay, and this is so G1 is growth. Okay, the organelles duplicate. Okay, the organelles duplicate, and you get, protein synthesis. Okay, so the cell's growing up, basically. The cell's growing up, doing its thing. doing its thing. Okay, and then you have this part. I'm gonna draw it in a different color. Draw it in red. So from like here to out here, you have what's called the S phase. Okay, and so in the S phase, you have DNA synthesis. Okay, this is duplication of the genetic material. Okay, and that's what the S phase is. Okay, duplication of the genetic material. Histones are made so you can actually wrap the new DNA into chromosomes. So basically, just duplicate DNA, and then after that S phase, you have another growth phase, G sub 2. Okay, and basically G sub 2 is finishing up organelles, organelle division, last minute protein synthesis, and getting ready to go into the actual division. Okay, and the actual division is mitosis. Okay, so mitosis. Now mitosis has several parts. Okay, so the first one is prophase. Okay, this is where we get condensation in the chromosomes, and you get spindles are attached to the individual chromosomes. Not very distinguishable. Okay, the nucleus starts to dissolve, and that is it. The next one here, the metaphase. This is the important one for me. Metaphase. Okay, and I'm going to star this. The chromosomes line up along the center of the cell. Okay, that's what happens in metaphase. Okay, and then after that we got anaphase. And here the chromosomes are pulled apart. Not apart, are pulled apart to the cell poles. Okay, to the cell poles. So to each side of the pole. So let's say there's a north and a south. Half of the chromosomes go to the north, half the chromosomes to the south, or east-west. But they're pulled to the poles of the cell themselves. Okay. So then we have telophase. Okay, the nucleus begins to reform. And then the cell starts to split. And what happens is you get what's called a cleavage furrow. And I'll draw a picture of what a cleavage furrow looks like in a second. Okay, and then finally you get cytokinesis. And that is the division of the cells, making 2 daughter cells. Okay, that's all there is on that one. Okay, so if you look at that, so if you look at prophase, actually I don't even care. Prophase doesn't matter much to me. So, but I will draw it anyway. So prophase. Okay, so basically all you have is you have your cell, Okay, but one of the things that we notice in the cell is we don't have these little X's. These are our chromosomes, and they're just kind of just everywhere. There's really no nucleus in a prophase, but what we have are these things called spindles. Spindles. And what the spindles do is they attach microtubules to all of these chromosomes. Okay. One on each side. Okay. So that's basically what we got in prophase. Then we have metaphase. Okay. We have our cell, no nucleus, but you notice here in metaphase our chromosomes are lined up. And our spindles here. We have a spindle attached here, here, like this. This is metaphase. Okay. And then anaphase. We have our cell here. And then our chromosomes have been pulled by the spindles. And remember, the spindles are where our microtubules come from. So these are microtubules that are actually doing the splitting. Then we have our telophase. Okay. And so in the telophase, this is where you get kind of like two cells are starting to form. Okay. And this is the cleavage furrow. You can see where it's starting to divide. You can see where it's starting to divide, and we're starting to get the actual splitting of the cell. You're getting like a remnant nucleus is forming, and the chromosomes are inside of the nucleus. That's what's happening in telophase. The spindles are starting to regress a little bit, and then finally in cytokinesis, you have two functioning cells, and they are called daughter cells. Okay, and that's all you got. That's all you got. Most importantly for me, I just think make sure you remember their order. So remember PMAT and cytokinesis, and metaphase. Remember metaphase. Metaphase is the most important one for me because that's the easiest one to distinguish. Be like, man, they all line up. All the chromosomes line up right along the center. Okay, and that's all I have for basic science. We are officially done with the basic science stuff, and so we're going to start talking about tissues in the next group of lectures.